Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I am your host, Matt Morris. You are tuning in to Matt Morris TV. We are live right now on Rumble and on YouTube, both at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday, November 17th. Pretty much the biggest conversation regarding President Trump's performance right now is the economy. You might have noticed everybody is talking about the economy. Right now, every single day, the Trump administration is trying to recover the country, bring the country out of this terrible economy that Joe Biden and the Democrats created when they were in the White House between 2021 and 2025. President Trump has inherited this colossal economic mess, and every day he is slowly bringing us out of it. But now we're talking about it a lot more because midterms are less than a year away. And if the economy is in a difficult spot, then people maybe, oh, my dog is going crazy right now. Maybe people don't vote or they vote for somebody else. And so today, right now, maybe my beautiful wife, if you're tuning in, sweetie, can go take care of that dog. Today, President Trump is actually going to be making a massive economic announcement at the McDonald's Impact Summit. So every year, McDonald's has this big impact summit. They talk about all their franchise owners, and President Trump is actually going to be making a special appearance at this McDonald's summit today. And so he's going to be coming on out here in about probably 10 minutes. Now, we actually have a live feed. Can I show you what that looks like? So Trump is going to be out here speaking about the economy. You might remember McDonald's was kind of a fundamental component of his campaign. You remember he spent one day working at McDonald's. And so now today he's linking back up with McDonald's, and we're going to talk about the economy. And word on the block is he has some big economic announcement that we're going to be talking about today for the first time. Now, because we have maybe 10 or 11 minutes, I want to go through some other news that is kind of circulating around the country right now, just because we have a couple minutes until President Trump comes on out. So I don't know if you've heard the news, but President Trump's ICE officers have been ramping up their immigration detainment and deportation efforts in Charlotte, North Carolina, specifically Charlotte, North Carolina over the last couple days. And so we have a report, we have a report I want to play for you. And then just 2 or 3 hours ago, something terrible, something tragic actually happened in North Carolina, in Charlotte, as it relates to these ICE deportations. But first, I want to play this report for you. Take a look at this.
But many Charlotte residents and local officials say these operations are causing unnecessary fear and uncertainty. This video is from yesterday, people screaming at Border Patrol agents as they approach what looks to be a construction site.
Yeah.
And on Saturday, hundreds gathered to protest Operation Charlotte's Web. Many of those protesters say immigrants are now afraid to go outside.
Good.
They're having their kids who are citizens go and pick up their clothes and food for them. It's terrifying to pretty much know that at any moment a federal agent can just come out and abuse you just because of the way you look, you know?
Not because the way they look. We've got lots of Hispanic people in this. We've got lots of people that look Hispanic or black or whatever. The other day, the Trump administration deported an illegal alien who was from Poland. He was a big white guy. They sent his ass back to Poland. It's not about how you look. It's about your legal status, buddy.
There was also a small protest at a local DHS office yesterday. We know 2 people were arrested, unclear why as of now. And the community also held an emergency meeting yesterday about all of this. Dana.
All right.
An emergency meeting. Now, ladies and gentlemen, can I tell you something real fast? This needs to be said, and maybe I'm about to say the quiet part out loud. But first off, let's talk about the deportation numbers so far. We know so far the Trump administration, since taking office again, we have had, fact check me on this, 2.1 million illegal aliens self-deport over the last 10 months. 2.1. Then on top of that, we've had around 600,000 illegal aliens forcibly deported by ICE, apprehended, snatched off the street, had their door kicked in, whatever it is, forcibly deported. In total, it's been 10 months. 10 months. The year isn't even over yet. And we have already had 2.7 million illegal aliens leave the country, either voluntarily or because they were compelled to do so. 2.7. Now, let's talk about the environment that compels 2.1 million illegal aliens to see themselves out. Yes, we have the CBP app. If you're an illegal alien, you can download this app. If you register within the mainframe in the database there, you're actually given a $1,000 check to cover your travel expenses and a free plane ticket to leave. That's called the Mr. Nice Guy option, and a lot of them have taken that option. However, also, there's kind of this threat, almost this environment of fear that is, I'll be honest, very deliberately being made. This individual here, he says, and it's kind of scary to know that you might get snatched up off the side of the road when you're least expecting it. That's the point. That is what is the point, ladies and gentlemen? Why are President Trump's ICE deportation raids, why are they being publicly broadcast so much? The White House is posting videos. We're talking about them every single day. It is to, frankly, create an environment of fear. President Trump, the Trump administration has decided, yeah, listen, yes, we're going to be carrying out forced, compelled deportations, but wouldn't it be easier if we could just kind of intimidate them to leave the country on their own? If we could create an environment of fear and they're so concerned that they just left on their own. And so this is very deliberately an ongoing campaign to say, listen, hey, you are not welcome here. We will snatch you up off the side of the road any day, any time, any moment, 2 a.m. If you're in the courthouse, if you're at the job site, if you're going to school, if you're an illegal alien, you are not welcome at TikTok. It's only a matter of time before we're going to get you. And so to make this easier for everybody, why don't you just go ahead and download the CBP app, get the $1,000 check, and get a free plane ticket and see yourself out. And guess what? It's working. It is working. By the end of the year, we've got another month and a half. We are going to have 3 million deportations by the end of the year. 3 million in 1 year. This is unheard of. I know it's very popular to say, oh, it's not enough deportations. And you're right. We always do need more deportations. You're right. We've got a lot of illegal aliens. We need to stay a little bit moralized here. Some people, they're demoralized. I like to moralize. 3 million illegal aliens gone. 3 million criminals gone in 12 months. All of them are criminals. They are damaging the American economy. They're jacking up rental prices, housing prices. They're taking jobs from Americans. They're competing with you and me and all of us for resources. They're driving up prices of groceries at the grocery store. They're killing people. They're abducting. They're human trafficking people. They're sexually assaulting people. 3 million criminals gone in 12 months. And this is only the first year. Okay? Keep in mind, we have another 10,000 ICE officers to hire. The hiring process is ongoing. I looked it up, it takes 9 months on average to train a new ICE officer after hiring a new ICE officer. So the first step is hiring them, and now we have the money to do that, to hire another 10,000 because we passed the big, beautiful bill 4 or 5 months ago. So we have another 10,000 ICE officers coming in. You got to train them up. Some of them need a little bit more. Some of them need a little bit less training. But still, we've got more ICE officers hitting the streets. And as we continue to flood the streets with these new hires, with these new ICE officers, the rate at which deportations, it's called exponential, okay? We've got 3 million in the first year. It might be 4.5 or 5 million next year. Might be 6 or 7 the following year. Exponential, more boots on the ground, more resources, okay? So I am going to remain optimistic. I am going to stay moralized. Now we have one big super chat while we wait for President Trump to come on out here. I'm going to read, I'm going to read this massive super chat here from Isaac4945. He says, did we all just forget about the importing H-1B Indian and Chinese students? Getting illegals out doesn't really matter if we bring in 3 million legals. Well, I'll tell you something here. I don't know if you've been tuning into my broadcasts pretty much every single day, and also go read my Twitter. I've been a little bit vocal on Twitter lately. I am not a fan of H-1B visas. I think we should scrap the entire program, frankly. I also think that we should not have any, not even Chinese students. I don't think we should have any CCP citizens in this country whatsoever, period. So you can call me a radical if you want. How about no Indian immigrants or Chinese immigrants, period, regardless of their visa status? How about that? That's kind of where I am. Now, that being said, there's something I want to show you here. Like I said, it is very important to stay moralized and look at the entire big picture. For the last couple of days, I have been incredibly critical of the Chinese student dynamic and the H-1B visa worker dynamic. However, that is not the entire dynamic. It is also very important to remember that when Donald Trump stepped into the White House 10 months ago, he actually immediately reduced the H-1B visa cap going into 2026 by 25%. So if you compare the number of H-1B visas going out in 2025, that's the number that Joe Biden locked in. You compare that number to the number of H-1B visas we're letting in the country in 2026. Trump has reduced that number by 25%. You haven't heard anybody reporting that, have you? No, because it's much more. I'm gonna tell you something here. In the content creator, political commentator, podcast, YouTube ecosystem, it's much more profitable to be negative and critical of everything all day and never acknowledge any positives whatsoever. In fact, this is something I think about. I do political commentary all day. It is much more profitable to endlessly complain about everything. And by the way, there are things to complain about. And when something legitimate pops up, I do. But I also want to talk about the positive things that are happening similarly. It is very easy for these content creators, these commentators, to never talk about anything positive. Going into 2026, we already have a 25% reduction. On top of that, new H-1B visa applicants have to pay a $100,000 application fee, whereas before it was only $2,000 or $3,000. So Trump, yeah, I'm with you. Yes, we should not have any H-1B visas. And yes, I think what Trump said the other day about H-1B visas, I was frankly pissed off. And in fact, I posted that much on Twitter. I made a tweet the other day about being pissed off at what Trump said. It got 2 million views on Twitter. It went viral. I said, I'm one of the biggest pro-Trump commentators in the country, and what he said here pissed me off. That tweet went viral. You might have seen it. At the same time, I'm not a doomer, complete and total black pill. It's over. Oh my God, it's over. There are a lot of positives. In fact, there's something I want to show you here. I've got a chart I wanted to pull up. If I can find this. Good Lord. Where is this? Here it is. Just announced, the amount of foreign students entering the country has plummeted by 17% under Donald Trump, and 0 illegal aliens have been released into the United States for 6 months straight. So this is 2 days ago. We just got the data. If you want to talk about foreign students coming in the country, taking up university roles, university spots, similarly to how Donald Trump has reduced the number of H-1B visas going out by 25%, foreign students coming in has also been reduced by 17%. I'm not a guy, I don't expect immediate reformation overnight or within 1 year. I understand things take time, if I can speak English, it's going to take some time for me to learn how to speak English. Things take time. That's what I'm trying to say. As they say, Rome was not built in a day. Here's the reality, okay? Over the last 30 or 40 years as a nation, we have taken in 50 million illegal aliens. I am under no delusion that we're going to be able to get rid of 50 million illegal aliens in 12 months or even 4 years. It might take 8 years or 12 years to deport 50 million illegal aliens on top. And that's whilst also having a complete and total lockdown of the southern border. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. This year, it seems like we're going to get rid of 3 million. That's a good start. We got to bump those numbers up. Let's keep going. The plane is just barely lifting off the runway here. We're picking up speed. Student visas. We've already seen a 17% reduction. So I sort of almost like much to my own dismay, much to my own detriment, I do like to stay moralized. Can I actually tell you why? Can I tell you something here? We're about to get kind of off into the weeds. We're going to talk. This is my personal political philosophy a little bit. You could say for better or for worse, maybe better. I don't know. I think a lot of these America First, American nationalist, nativist, almost paleo-conservative political policy points that Trump is currently pursuing. I think that if the Trump administration goes up in flames and everybody says, oh, screw Trump, he's a failure, He only delivered 10 or 20% of what we all expected from him. Screw Trump. He was a failure. I feel like a lot of these ideas, a lot of these America First policy points, they are still being litigated publicly. 45-50% of the nation, they're not sure whether or not we should have mass deportations. They're not sure whether or not we should have tariffs. They're not sure whether or not we should repatriate labor. They're not sure whether or not we should have a sealed border. You know, there are people in this country that actually want to have an open border. And so my very real concern, history has shown us time and time again that if the man fails, the policies that are inexplicably tied to the man will also fail in the long term, and they're going to be taken off of the table. Does that make sense? The policies that we all want to be successful, they are inexplicably tied to President Trump. And if Trump goes up in flames and the conservative movement turns on Trump and everybody hates Trump, my very real concern is that we are never going to get these policies ever again. Probably a very good example of this happening in recent American political history is President Nixon. Nixon was a phenomenal president. And anybody that is older here, we have some older members in the audience, I know you're going to back me up. Nixon was one of the best presidents this country's ever had. He's one of the most underrated presidents as far as modern discussion goes. In 2025, nobody really talks about Nixon. And the reason why is because of Watergate. Nixon was dominant in his first election. He came back. He won his reelection. He absolutely slaughtered in his reelection. In fact, as far as I know, I think it might have been the most dominant electoral college win in the history of this country. Nixon came into his second term. It was full steam ahead. He won like 95% of the electoral college votes that were up for grabs. It was nuts. And then within a couple months of getting back in the White House or remaining in the White House, boom, Watergate, which was a setup, by the way. That was bullshit, by the way. We don't need to relitigate Watergate. But anyway, Nixon had a huge amount of really positive policies during his first term and early on into his second term. Guess what? Nixon's reputation went up in flames. The entire country tossed him into the garbage bin of history. And all of President Nixon's legitimately really good policies, they were scrapped. And we never pursued them ever again. And so I think there is a really legitimate, valid concern that if you have a set of policies that are, for better or for worse, uniquely tied to one man, if that one man is written off or tossed into the garbage bin, I think you can kiss those policies goodbye. Also, I will tell you something. Let's talk 2028 election. Let's talk going into this next election. If President Trump's approval ratings catastrophically bottom out, if we already know the left hates Trump, let's say the right turns on Trump and conservatives say, oh, we don't like Trump anymore for whatever reason. Well, we are in all likelihood going to lose the 2028 election, and then we will have a far left, radically progressive president. As you know, most presidents, they're not four-year presidents. Most presidents end up being in the White House, remaining in the White House for a solid 8 years. If you win, you're probably going to win a second time. That is what I'm trying to say. So if Trump blows up and crashes out, and we lose the 2028 election as a consequence of that abandonment of Trump, this perception of failure, then what happens is we have a far left radically progressive president for 8 years, in all likelihood, between 2029 and 2037. So flash forward, we've now had 8 years of a radically progressive president. The border is open. You thought 25 million illegal aliens during the 4-year-long Biden presidency was bad? Double that. We're going to have 50 million illegal aliens come in the country between 2029 and 2037. And so then if you want to talk about any sort of America First political platform, the America First agenda, you want to talk about nativism or whatever you want to talk about, you want to talk about making the country great again, guess what? By 2037, next time we will really have a shot to do so, it's over. We all saw what just happened in New York City with Mamdani. 60% of the people that voted for Mamdani, he won, by the way, they're foreigners. They're people that moved into New York. They're not even from the country. and they voted for Mamdani. 60% of his voters are not even from America. And they catapulted him to meteoric success. What just happened in New York is going to happen across the entire country if we don't stay moralized and defend President Trump's America First policies now and segue into a post-Trump era in 2028, 2029. I'm telling you, this is my warning to everybody in America. If we do not navigate the next 3 years very, very carefully as we transition into the 2028, 2029 election, things are gonna get very bad. Okay, so people are saying, Doomer, Matt, chill out, Matt. No, you have it backwards. You have it backwards. Everything I'm telling you right now is to say, this is why I stay positive. This is why every single day I go live on YouTube and Rumble and I'm moralizing people and I'm telling people, here's my goal. I want to go live and make a video every single day and say, ladies and gentlemen, these are the deportations we have gotten so far. Yes, we need some more of them, but these are the ones we've gotten so far. Here are the ways in which our lives have all gotten better as a consequence of those deportations. Now we want more of them. Now let's stay more. Now we want 10 times more. Because these ideas, these America First ideas, these are still publicly being litigated. People still need to be convinced that having a border, southern border being closed is a good thing. People need to be convinced that deportations are good. People need to be convinced that repatriating and redomesticating labor is a good thing. People need to be convinced that having import tariffs on China or reciprocal trade tariffs in general are good things. So every single day I wake up with a burning passion. I want to keep people positive. I want to moralize people, because if we do not do that, people will become so demoralized as it relates to the America First agenda. We're going to fuck midterms. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to swear. We're going to lose midterms. We're going to lose 2028. And then we're going to have, in all likelihood, 8 years of a radically progressive administration, at which point there's no coming back. We are barely able to come back after 4 years of Joe Biden, who let 25 million illegal aliens in the country. Think about how difficult it is to get this country back on track after just 4 years of Biden and 25 million illegal aliens. Think about how we are struggling so much to get this country back on track. Okay? Now imagine we had 8 years of Biden or someone like Biden, and instead of 25 million illegal aliens, we had 50 million illegal aliens. We cannot let that happen. It would be catastrophic. It would be catastrophic. It would be almost impossible to save this republic. The odds are already stacked against us. We can barely keep on top of the problems that they created during the Biden era. We can barely keep on top of those problems now. It already is a death battle to save the republic. They've already inflicted a ton of damage. So no, I reject the black pill. I'm never going to become demoralized. I believe every single day that I wake up, every single day that God gives me on this earth, it is my patriotic obligation to moralize and white pill and fight on behalf of the America First agenda. And also what I'm trying to do every day is say, listen, you know, some of you say we should have had 10 times more deportations by now. First off, maybe that's a little bit wild because we've already had just about 3 million. Were you expecting 30 million deportations in the first year? Maybe that's a little bit crazy. But anyway, this is what I'm trying to say. Listen, if you want 10 times more, let's talk about the 10% of the deportations that we do have. Let's talk about how our lives and the nation every single day is getting better because of those. And then say, that is why we need more. You want 10 times? Listen, if you want 10 times more, maybe I can come up with a metaphor here. I don't know. You know, if I'm cooking you a delicious, tasty meal and I bring you out a little sample platter, I bring you a sample platter and I say, here, take a taste. How do you like it? If you say, I wish I had more, it's not enough. Well, maybe I'm not going to bring you more because you weren't very appreciative. However, if you get a little taste and you say, man, that taste was good. I want 10 times more of that. Bring me out some more. I love that. Then as the chef, okay, all right, okay. I'm getting some positive feedback here. Okay. All right, let's talk. Maybe I'll make you some more now. You know, I don't know. That's the best analogy or metaphor I can come up with on the fly. Maybe I'm not that creative. Was that okay? Maybe that was okay. But anyway, everything I just explained to you guys, this was kind of a meta conversation. You guys see my videos and you hear what I say every day, but I've never really talked about why I do what I do. Why am I doing this? Because I really genuinely do believe that the fate of the republic is at stake. We almost lost it. You know, I really do believe that the 2024 election, that election was a referendum on whether or not we are going to continue to exist as a country, as a nation, as a people, as a homeland, as a republic. And thank God we chose Trump. This needs to be said, though. Trump is not the end all be all. Trump is not the conclusion of this battle. Trump is not going to bring us over the finish line. Trump got us back on track. We only have another 3 years of him. Okay? Rather than thinking the next 3 years, we need to have like a 20-year or 30-year plan to fix all of the damage that these people have caused in this country. We've got to root them out of the academic institutions. We've got to root them out of the federal government. We have to crack down on sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. We have to gut the federal judiciary and get these far-left radical progressive judges out of there. We have to stop the Democrats from packing the Supreme Court and adding Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, giving them statehood and then packing the Senate and the House and farming out more electoral college votes. We must stop those things from happening. It's a lot. It's a lot. And if we say, oh, well, you know, it's been a year and all the problems haven't been fixed, so we're throwing in the towel, it's over. Guess what? They win. Guess what? That is exactly. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think the far left spends all their energy and money, billions of dollars, trying to demoralize you? Have you noticed that every single day, every single week, the far left, they've got some new crazy narrative meant to mess with your head. They are trying to demoralize you. They want you demoralized. They want us turning our backs on each other. They want to rip apart this movement, the America First movement. That's it. That's what they want. So then, very clearly so. So then why in the living hell would you give it to them? Why would you go along with that? We all know what they want. Anyway, by the way, Trump, man, this was a very impromptu 20-minute heated monologue. Sorry, that was totally not planned. And you know what? It was all because of Isaac with the $50 super chat. By the way, much love. God bless. I appreciate that a lot. Nothing I was saying here. I'm not. Screw you, Isaac. That's not. You know how us patriotic Americans are. It's like Alex Jones says, I've got red hot blood. I'm an American patriot. I've got red hot blood pumping through my veins. I like to eat steak and have sex with my wife. What can I say? What can I say? Maybe Alex Jones is my cousin. I don't know, but some days I feel a little bit. Some days I feel a little bit of that Alex Jones energy. I'm a patriot. So sometimes it comes out a little bit. I just want to have a steak. So I do what, while we have a minute here, I need to pull up some of these other super chats. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Some of the other super chats I missed here. By the way, Trump is coming out any minute now. I see the official White House. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, they're playing music. I'm going to keep that muted until he actually is speaking. If the music comes out, then I have to silence it, okay? So I'm going to give this a second. Yeah, we can't have the music on here. One moment here. Matt, I think your monologues are my favorite part of the show. Yeah, you think I should maybe we should just stop talking about the news altogether every day and I just come up here and I just rant and rave and then that's it. That's all. Maybe we don't even talk about current events anymore.
I actually hate to turn that phone, that beautiful song off, but let's get to business, right? And I want to congratulate you that you are with an incredible company, and I'm thrilled to be here with the men and the women who are really the heart and soul of one of the greatest, most admired, and most successful companies in the history of the world, frankly, the one and only McDonald's. I've gone there a couple of times.
I love McDonald's, honestly.
And I'm honored to stand before you as the very first former McDonald's fry cook ever to become president of the United States. And I actually was there for about 30 minutes, and that was 30 minutes longer than Kamala was there, right? Despite her job at McDonald's, that didn't work out too well. And the person at McDonald's that informed us off the record that she never worked there, whoever you are, we appreciate that. That was very nice. But I want to thank, as you know, the famous Sundar and Sergey Brin. These are two guys that own and run a place called Google. They called me the following day after I did that McDonald's little skit, because it wasn't a commercial. You got it for nothing. It was a skit. And they told me that, and I didn't know them. I said, who are they? They own Google. I said, that's pretty good. That's not bad. And that it received more hits than anything else in the history of Google, and that records, it still stands. So congratulations on allowing us to use it, but you made a very good deal as usual. But you know, in the old days, McDonald's and many others would call me to do this kind of a thing, come over and say some words and talk, and they'd pay me millions of dollars. Likewise, they'd do it. They'd call others, only superstars, and they'd pay them millions of dollars to speak. And as president, I'm doing this damn thing for nothing. Okay? And you know what? Because it's you, it's an honor to do it, and it's an honor to be here. It really, the job that McDonald's has done is incredible, and that you're doing. But as you may have heard, I'm also one of your all-time most loyal customers. I really am. Well, I think that's good. I'm pretty sure that's good. While other politicians fly around on campaign planes stocked with expensive catering, on Trump Force One, prior to ascending to Air Force One, which is quite a nice plane also, we served only McDonald's almost every time. On occasion, we couldn't find one, which is pretty hard to believe. We'd go another route. But we really did. You fed us very well. And I even got Bobby Kennedy to eat a Big Mac. And he told me he loved it. He didn't want that publicized. He told me he loved it.
Bacon McDouble.
I want to thank McDonald's chairman and CEO, Chris Kempczinski, who I just met backstage. I guess gave him a little piece of my speech signed. I said, do you want to keep this? You can either hang it, you can give it to somebody, you can throw it away. I don't care. But I don't stay on the speech too long anyway, so usually those speeches aren't too accurate, what I give. But McDonald's USA president is here, Joe Erlinger. Joe, wherever you may be, thank you very much. Thank you, Joe. Good job, along with everyone from the International Franchise Association, which does really fantastic work. I've heard from many people you do a fantastic job. So thanks as well to two former McDonald's operators now serving in Congress, Representative Kevin Hern and Chuck Edwards. Are you here, fellas? Come on, fellas. And they're warriors, those two. They're warriors. Thank you very much. Great job. And, of course, let me thank the people who truly keep the McDonald's magic alive, the incredible franchisees, and you got a lot of them here today. Yeah, and you're the heart and soul, and they would tell you that all the time. They tell me that. You carry on the commitment to what Ray Kroc said he wanted from every McDonald's restaurant, perfection. Have you heard that? Perfection. That was very strong. Ray liked to say that if you think small, you'll stay small, and that's why no one thinks bigger than McDonald's, not in your industry, and probably never will. I don't know if anybody can ever catch you. I doubt it. Every single day you feed an incredible 1% of the entire world population, 70 million meals every day. An amazing 1 in 8 Americans works behind the counter of a McDonald's franchise at some point in their lives. Yeah, we heard about that. I heard about that. Wasn't true in that particular case, but for tens of millions of our citizens, the road to the American dream starts beneath the golden arches, beautiful golden arches. So to each and every one of you, thank you and congratulations on 70 years of American greatness. Congratulations. And, you know, I just might add, this is also the golden age of America because we are doing better than we've ever done as a country. Prices are coming down and all of that stuff. And, you know, they talk about different terms for that. But I will tell you that nobody has done what we've done in terms of pricing. We took over a mess. We had the highest, think of it, the highest inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years it was the history of our
9%.
country. And now we have normal inflation. We're going to get it a little bit lower, frankly, but we have normal. We've normalized it. We have it down to a low level, but we're going to get it a little bit lower. We want perfection. You know, you always want 1%. I don't know if anybody knows. You don't want zero. Zero can be bad. Then you start going the other route. That's no good either. Then you say, what's worse, deflation or inflation? But we have it almost at the sweet spot, and prices are coming down on different things. One of your groups that you admire, I admire, Walmart, came up last week and they announced that Thanksgiving this year is 25% less. All of the accoutrements, that Thanksgiving is 25% less than it was last year under Sleepy Joe Biden. So that's a big statement. And others have followed up by saying just about that. And to your leader, when we met, I said, how are you doing with prices? Prices are coming down. He said, we were up 40% because of Biden and inflation, and they're coming down, and they're coming down rapidly. So I hope that all continues to go, but we're really doing well as a country. Most importantly, however, I will tell you, big picture, we have over $17 trillion being invested in our country in 9 months. It's now just about ready to crack 18, and by the end of 1 year, we will have about $20 to $21 trillion invested in our country. That's more by 10 times the highest amount ever invested in any country ever before. And it's largely because of tariffs and, I think, November 5th election. But it's the largest amount. As an example, so if we have 20 or 21 in 1 year, 21 trillion, think of what that is. That's car factories, that's AI, it's everything. They're all coming back because of the tariffs. They're all coming back because they don't want to pay 15, 20, 30, 100% tariff. It wasn't that complicated. People are saying, you know, Trump was right. It really wasn't that complicated, but it's been amazing. As an example, if you take me at 20 for 1 year, Sleepy Joe Biden, you know what he was? Less than 1 for 4 years. And if they got elected, they would have been at minus 10 because people were moving out of the country in record numbers, and welfare and other charges were increasing at levels that nobody has ever seen before. So you would have had double and maybe 50%, maybe literally more than they've ever seen. Welfare was going up. Everything was going up. Government jobs were going up. Real jobs were going down. Yeah. So you would have had that catastrophe, and on top of it, instead of 20 trillion coming in, you would have had 10 trillion leaving our country. In other words, you would have had a catastrophe. You probably would have had a bankrupt country. You are so damn lucky that I won that election. I'm telling you.
Who voted for Trump? Give me a 1 in the chat. 1 in the chat if you voted for Trump.
That this, you know. Sometimes he got up and he ranted and raved and bragged. I don't brag. I just give you the facts. It's true. But those in this room know the people of our country better than anybody. And before the sun rises, you're up serving hot coffee to construction workers, nurses, and police officers on the way to the job. In the evening, you stand ready with the fast dinner and a smile for busy moms and their children as they race from school to soccer practice. Really is. It's Americana. And late at night, your lights are often the only ones still glowing when the long-haul trucker pulls up for a good meal and a best Coca-Cola in America. Best Coca-Cola. Whoa.
That is probably true.
And I'll bet they use real sugar in your Coca-Cola. You know, they didn't in the United States. I said to the head of Coca-Cola, you got to go to sugar. They do in other countries. And you know what? They went to sugar. Isn't that nice? I said, you got to go to sugar. Just like I said, why is the Gulf of Mexico called the Gulf of Mexico? I said, we're changing the name. And now it's the Gulf of America. It has nothing to do with McDonald's, but maybe it does. Because it's very nice cycle. We have 92% of the shoreline. They have 8%. I wouldn't say I made a lot of friends in Mexico, but they still like me. Wasn't that a good change? Seriously, wasn't that beautiful? And it was done in an instant. You know, it's like, normally you think a thing like that would take years. This took like 10 minutes. I asked somebody, good lawyers in my office, I said, would I be able to change the Gulf of Mexico? Is that possible to the Gulf? Sir, it's been that way for 350 years. You know, they were here 100 years before us. We're 250, they were 350. It's been called the Gulf of Mexico, sir, for 350 years. I said, that's not the question. Am I able to change it? Yes. What do I do? Just give us the order and we'll do it. And I did, and we changed it, and everybody's happy. Well, not everybody, but most people. Most people
Everybody.
are happy, but it's
Everybody.
great prestige for our country. You know, it's tremendous prestige for our country. And that's good for McDonald's, and that's good for everybody else. As president, I want you to know that I'm fighting every day to support small businesses like yours and the citizens that we all serve. And together we're fighting for an economy where everyone can win, from the cashier starting her first job to a franchisee opening his first location to the young family in a drive-through line. I've been on that line many times. Actually, that line was incredible in the commercial, right? It wasn't a commercial. It was about, but they have the line. The people had no idea. So I made the French fries. The guy was really good. He had a great wrist. He was, sir. He's going like, sir. Yeah. It was not that easy. But I got it sort of finally. Not the greatest, but I get it, pouring it in, asking him all sorts of stupid questions. But it was very interesting. Amazing. A little thing is not, it's a little complex, right? To father and son over there that own a lot. They're very rich people. But I'll tell you what. I asked, how many do you have? Sir, I have 59. I said, you're rich. But you know, nobody knew in the line. That line was a long line. They had 25,000 people, so somebody let them know we were coming. It was toward the end of the campaign. And after I did the French fries and did some other things, I then stood at the window. And the people would drive up, a little bored in all fairness. You know, it is, I mean, they're waiting for a hamburger, okay? So they'd drive up like this. They'd look over. Whoa! Every one of them. And it was fascinating. Every one of them, they would. It was the response was incredible. Almost like I knew I was going to win when I saw that. I knew, because the response was love. It was great. They had a good time. But we did, I think, 12 people. Every one of them had the same response. They drive up. They this. They get that. Getting a little cash ready, and they look over, and it was some did a double take. Some went like that. Whoa. But it was sort of an amazing moment. You know, I did a garbage truck also, right? And everybody, and I thought, when I spoke with Sergey and Sundar, I said, yeah, but the garbage truck was equal, wasn't it? They said, not even a contest. Garbage truck was great, not even a contest to McDonald's. And that's because we had the power of McDonald's. I mean, it was an amazing thing. I thought the garbage truck would have won. And they said it was good, but it wasn't even close. So that's a tribute to what you've built, really. It really is a tribute to what you built. But there's still a lot of work to do, and we're making tremendous progress. 1.9 million more American-born workers are employed today than when I took office. Think of that. 1.9 million more today than, and these are American-born workers. Nobody thought that was possible. And we have the strongest borders in the history of our country. Nobody comes in unless they come in legally. You see the numbers. Everyone thinks it's impossible. A year ago, millions of people were storming our borders. Today, they only come in if they come in legally. And wages for hourly workers are rising at the fastest pace in 60 years. And sometimes you might say, was that good or bad? It's great for you, The minimum wage thing you'll have to be talking about. You're going to have to fight. We were talking about California, Gavin Newsom from California. And I knew he's laying siege on the minimum wage. And you people probably know, because that's a very complex subject, and you people probably know better than anybody the impact one way or the other, good or bad. And you're going to let your local congressmen, your senators know about it. But in 9 months, we've lifted over 600,000 Americans off a food stamp, and that's a record. And it's because we really have a strong economy. I mean, we're building thousands and thousands of factories all over this country. Wait till they open up. You're going to see something like we've never seen before. You know, we lost our auto industry. 54% of our auto industry left for other places over the years. And I think we're going to get it more than all back. They're coming in from Mexico, from Canada, from Germany. They're coming in from Japan. We made a deal with Japan, $650 billion. We never got anything. We made a deal with the European Union, $950 billion, and they have to buy our oil and gas and many other things. And I want to say it's good for everybody, all that. We made a deal recently with China, where they buy our soybeans, but it's hundreds of billions of dollars. And it's incredible what's taken place in our country. The world was laughing at us like we were stupid people. They're not laughing anymore. They don't laugh at us anymore. They respect us now again, and that's what we want. We want to be liked. We want to be respected, much more so than being liked. And, you know, in a certain way, they like us better now, too. They respect us, but they like us better now because the world was ripping off our country. Not sustainable, not even sustainable. China was making $722 billion. Think of that. Not million. 722 million's a lot, isn't it? $722 billion. They built their military with the money that we gave them over the years. And in my first term, we had a great first term. The most successful economy we've ever had in my first term. This is going to blow it away. This is blowing it away, to be honest with you. It blows everything away. There's never been a time like this, and you're going to see the results, you know, pretty quickly. But in stark contrast to the previous administration, 100% of all new jobs created in America under my administration have been created in the private sector. Because, you know, we are trimming out government jobs. You can't have, you know, what they do is they give you phony job numbers in a lot of ways, but they'd hire 100,000 people, and all of a sudden it looks like they're doing well. They're not doing well, because those are jobs that they hurt our country. If those jobs can be in the private sector, paying taxes and all the other things, it's a big 100% of the jobs that we put in have been, think of that, are in the private, come from the private sector. In my first term, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. And now we're doing it again, but this time it really is, as I said, much stronger, much better. I think it's going to be something that nobody has ever seen before. My pledge to every family and every small business is that I will not rest until you are richer, stronger, more successful, happier, till you've gotten a piece of the American dream. Some of you in this room have really gotten a piece of it because you made a great decision to go with a great, great company years ago. And it's really pretty amazing. That begins with making America. We have to do, the word is affordable. And affordable should be our word, not theirs. Because the Democrats got up and talked affordability, and they don't say that they had the worst inflation in history, the highest energy prices in history. Everything was the worst. What they're great at is lying. They say affordability. This stuff was all much more expensive. We have a couple of items like coffee, which is a little high. We're going to get that down. You saw that today. The coffee comes down. Remember when I first took over? Eggs. My third day in office, I have a news conference, and the fake news media was screaming at me, Mr. Congressman, about eggs. Remember that? I'm standing there very innocent. Oh, hello. Do you have any questions? What about eggs? What about them? They're up 4 times. I said, look, I just got here. I'm sorry. And Brooke Rollins and Department of Agriculture did a phenomenal job. And they said, don't order eggs for Easter because you won't be able to get them. And they said, we have a big Easter egg hunt at the White House. It's sort of a thing that has gone on for 100 years. They said, could you order plastic eggs? I said, I'm not ordering plastic eggs. We're going to have eggs down by that time. And by the time we got to Easter, the price of eggs had fallen precipitously. We had all the eggs in this country you want. And we know what we're doing. I mean, we know what we're doing. We rebuilt our military. We have the greatest military anywhere in the world. We make the greatest military equipment anywhere in the world. And everybody knows it. And everybody knows it. And you saw that with the way we took out the nuclear capability of Iran with those gorgeous B-2 bombers. They flew in there and they wiped it. And the word was obliterated. Remember when CNN said, well, it might not have been obliteration. Think of the pilots. They go in there, they're under fire. I was watching this from the Situation Room, and you get to see things in situations that you wouldn't believe. And they said, sir, they have entered Iran airspace. All of a sudden you see much faster. Then you see him going down at the whole thing was crazy. I actually said, do people really want to do that for a living? They're waiting for him, but the equipment is so good. The B-2 bomber, stealth. They never saw them. They never saw them. I mean, it's the most amazing thing. And I honored the pilots at the White House. I had them brought in, along with mechanics and a lot of other people. We brought them to the White House to give a little celebration because they flew 37 hours flawlessly. Now compare that to the Jimmy Carter Iran situation with the helicopters crashing and the this and the, oh, what a horror, and the hostages. And I said, we can't let that happen, but we have a great team. General Raisin Kane is unbelievable. The whole group is unbelievable. And they went in, and I brought them into the White House, and I brought them then into the Oval Office, the pilots. And we met them, all handsome. They look like Tom Cruise. They really do. I don't want to be a wise guy and say, but taller. I'm not going to say that. No, they're perfect specimens. I mean, these guys are like from a movie. I could take everyone, put them in a movie. And I said to him, so what's the story with that raid? Did you expect, because you remember I pulled it back? Because I saw reporting that we're going to be leaving at a certain time. And I said to the general, is that not good that they think that? And they sort of got it right. They saw a lot of activity. Actually, you know why? They saw one of the things. They saw a lot of unbelievable activity going on at the McDonald's next to the base where they take off. The McDonald's was doing 5 times. They were going crazy. So they say, there's something going on over there. The biggest activity that McDonald's had ever had. And it was a nice story, how well it's doing. But that was not a good story for us. So I canceled it and then I announced we're canceling it. And the pilots said they were devastated. Then I put it back at the exact same time because that was the only time they weren't thinking would happen. And we left exactly on time, but that was after canceling it 2 days before. And then we put it right back in the exact same slot. And we had identical planes, the B-2s, flying four of them, flying into Guam. And they thought that was the attack team. And they were watching those planes in Guam, going to Guam, and that was not the planes that we had. But think of it, they flew both ways 37 hours without a sputtering of a bad engine, without any problem. But they got in and they said they have entered Iran airspace, and the enemy's waiting for them. And they dropped the bombs. They hit every chute. You know, they have air chutes that go deep into the granite mountains. If you don't hit those chutes, the damage won't be as big as you want. And every bomb hit every chute. And then we hit them with rockets from a submarine that was quite a distance away, 30 of them. Let's put it this way, they got hit. And it totally took out the nuclear capability. And I said to these guys when they came in to the office, I said, do you guys like doing this stuff? You know, they said, sir, it was the greatest day of our life. Can you believe this, Congressman? It was the they're like heroes. They're like American heroes. Who the hell wants to sit? You know, those ships are very big, but they're very small when you're up way high, going very fast. And he said it was the greatest day of our life. And they told me something that I didn't know. They said that, sir, do you know, we waited 22 years for this, our predecessors and us. We would practice this run for 22 years. I didn't know that. For 22 years, we had to practice. We'd do it 3 times a year. We would practice this exact run. And then when you cancel it, because I canceled when they heard that we were coming, we were devastated. I said, see, now if I were a flyer and they canceled, I'd be extremely happy. Well, we're canceled, so let's forget it. But we were devastated. So I said, this is something you really love, right? Yes, sir. We were so honored. This was the greatest day of our life. I mean, it's really great. We just have incredible people in this country. It's an amazing story. And they hit, and then they said, skedaddle, the word skedaddle. And that plane went like this. You know, when it drops a bomb, it goes down very steeply because that gives it a better angle and, you know, more speed for the bomb. Very, very heavy bombs. And they go, boom. And as soon as those things, the one pilot, the first one said, skedaddle. And that thing just turned in its side. And it's so unbelievable. And that knocked out Iran nuclear capability. And all of the Middle East became a different place. And now we have peace in the Middle East. And at the United Nations today, they approved the Board of Peace, which is I'm going to chair. And we're picking the leaders or the heads of the most important nations in the world. I think it'll be a board like no other than perhaps the McDonald's board. You have a very good board. You actually have a very good board. But nobody thought a thing like that was. This just happened today. The Board of Peace, and it's going to be comprised of myself and leaders of other very important nations and very respected nations. And it's going to be something I think is going to be very important. It was just approved. It was just endorsed by the United Nations. It was pretty great. It's a big thing. I think it's one of the most important things the United Nations will ever do, actually. But Joe Biden's prices and his hikes cost a typical American family an estimated $33,000 and hit your workers and your customers and your small businesses. Very, very hard. The Biden administration started the affordability crisis, and my administration is ending it. I'm ending it. Prices are way down. If you just look, so we don't have, as I said, the inflation, but our energy prices are way down. And, you know, despite hamburgers being a big business, energy is one business that's bigger. When you get energy down, everything else is affected. If you start bringing the price of gas, that's like a massive tax cut. And they were selling, you know, they were having gasoline at $4.75 a gallon and $4.50, $3.50, $3.75. We're going to be able, it looks like we're going to be able to hit $2 a gallon in the not too distant future. But let's say we're $2.50, $2.70. Other than places like California, that's not fair because they put so high a tax on that you're really paying a lot of that price is the tax that you're paying to government, which is horrible, actually, what they do. But the price of gasoline and the price of energy is way down. So when energy comes down, you make the donuts, you make the chicken, you make whatever you're making. Everything is all about energy. You have to deliver it. You have the trucks. You have the fuel. When energy comes down, and it's come down fast, we had an expression, drill, baby, drill. And I drilled, baby, drilled. I tell you, we drilled. And last month it was announced we produced more oil and gas than any time in the history of our country by far. And when you do that, everything comes down. You don't even have to look at the numbers. And it's all beautifully coming down. And as per your chief executive and your chairman and everybody else, they tell me the prices at McDonald's are coming down. It's moving down. Unfortunately, they were so high in the last administration that people aren't that happy because it was so high. So even though it's coming down and coming down a lot, they want to see where it was, like when I was president. And we'll be getting it very close to that number, maybe even better, depending on what we do with energy. But the energy is coming way down. In the 9 months since I took office, we've stopped inflation in the tracks. Since January, the core inflation has been the lowest in just about 8 years. Just changed. Yeah. It was 4 years. Now it's 8 years. It just changed about an hour. They just said, sir, if you want, we can rewrite the speech. I said, no, I can remember it very nicely. Thank you. I'm not Biden. In the past 6 months, the price of breakfast items has fallen 14%. Bread prices are down. Dairy prices are down. The price of eggs has declined 86% since March.
Does that feel
and
true?
Much more than
think?
that since when I took over. Because when I took over, it was an egg crisis, as we said. And I want to give a very special thanks to McDonald's for slashing prices for your most popular items, bringing back extra value meals, and I hear you're recommitting to the affordable options of Americans that we really know and love, all of the items that we love. And I hear that McDonald's is playing a very big role in that. We're getting prices down for this country, and there's no better leader or advocate than McDonald's. And I believe the next time maybe I'll have to be back here again next year if you get them down enough, okay? That's all you have to do for me is get them down enough. We'll come back. We'll come back, Mr. Chairman. But while Democrats wanted to give Americans the largest tax hike in history in July, I proudly gave you the largest tax cuts in American history and signed the one big beautiful bill. I call it the great big beautiful bill into law. That includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. That is a big deal. So the great big beautiful bill is the biggest piece of legislation ever passed in our country's history. It gives expensing to you as owners, where you do something, you could expense it, you can take it off in 1 year instead of 38 or 40 years. It gives you so many things. And I'm not giving it to you, I'm giving it to the people that you're hiring, because I'm giving it for jobs. You're going to expand, you're going to do tremendously, you spend money, and you can write it off quickly as opposed to over a period of many, many years. The typical waiter, waitress, or police officer will take home roughly $2,000 extra each year because of just what we've done on taxes. And the tax cut bill, and I call it the tax cut bill, is also a big boost to small businesses like yours. It includes permanent expensing. And again, the biggest thing I did in my first tax cut bill, and this also expanded and extended that, was the expensing, the 100% expensing. But now we have the expensing for a 10-year period, so for 10 years. And frankly, I sort of said, let's make it 2 years because, I want the results to be immediate. 10 years, they can take their time. I had a lot of pushback, including from these guys. They said, no, the right thing. It might have been good for us politically, but it's better what we did ultimately for the country. So we have 10-year full expensing. Nobody thought that was possible to get. We also expanded tax relief for all franchisees and made the pass-through deduction permanent. It's now permanent. And very importantly, under our tax cut bill, we virtually eliminated the unfair estate tax or death tax, so you can keep your family business in the family, your children, if you love your children. If you leave your beautiful place to your children, you won't have estate tax, small business. Now, if you don't love your children, you don't really care what I'm saying right now. I've only had 2 or 3 people over the years that say, I take a vote. Does anybody in this room dislike their children where you're not leaving it to your children? And, it's always blank, blank, blank. Then all of a sudden, one guy about 6 rows back, okay. And I thought he was kidding. I said, oh, that's so funny. I'm not kidding. My kid is no good. I'm not. And I said, this is amazing. So he's not so happy with this, but it's all right. But think of it, farmers especially, where they'd have a farm. And the expression, the land rich, cash poor a little bit, but they have a great, wonderful thing and a way of life that they wouldn't change with anybody, not even a franchisee, right? They don't want a McDonald's. If they have a farm, they love their farm, just like you love what you're doing. But the farmers were dying, leaving their farm to their children. The value of the farm was high. They'd go out, they'd have a tremendous estate tax or death tax, and it would so much. I mean, the percentage is crazy how high. They'd end up losing the farm in bankruptcy. They'd go out and borrow all this money to pay the tax, the estate tax. They'd put a mortgage on the farm, and they'd end up losing the farm. Many of them committed suicide. They would commit suicide. It was such a horrible thing that was happening. And we've ended, think of that, the death tax, the estate tax on the small businesses. So I hope you're around for a long time. You don't have to think about it, but it's a great thing for your family, and it's a great thing for longevity. You treat your franchise just like a farmer treats his farm. You love it. You're there early. You're cleaning it, little touch of paint here or there. There's a little spot on the ceiling, drives you crazy, right? It's, it's love. It's love for what you do. It's amazing the job you do, too. I see it. I've been in plenty of McDonald's that clean beautifully. You must have some awfully good incentives because they are really amazing places, the job that's done. But upon taking office, I signed an order requiring that for every new regulation, 10 old job-killing regulations have to be eliminated. So if we put in a new regulation, then we get rid of 10. Otherwise, you don't get the new regulation. And, we got rid of the drip, drip water. We call it the drip, drip, where drip drips out of the sink. States with tremendous water, so much water, they have nothing but problems getting rid. They had restrictions on water. It comes down from heaven, right? They had restrictions on water. So you want to wash your hands, or like me, I want to wash my hair. I lather up, and I turn that, and there's no water. The water's drip. They put a restrictor on. I won't mention the third item in the bathroom because I always get criticized. I used to mention that, but I don't mention it anymore because you know what I think you do. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you shouldn't be owning a McDonald's franchise. You wouldn't do well even with a McDonald's franchise. But no, the water restrictions totally lifted. All restrictors are gone. And it's interesting. Your dishwashers were covered, right? You had no water. I was with some of the people that make them, Whirlpool and others, and they said, sir, they won't give us the water to use in our dishwashers or use in our washing machines. The washing machines have no water. I mean, it's like a glass of water, half a glass of water. We need water. And I said, how bad is it? He said, well, like the dishwasher. They put the dishes in, and they just keep pressing the button, they end up using more water. So I gave them, as you know, unlimited water. Biden came back with a rigged election, and he immediately restricted the water again. But I came back in and immediately unrestricted again. So now you have unlimited water to clean your damn dishes, okay? And other things. Your hands. Didn't you hate that? You walk in to wash your hands. I'm a big hands guy. I like to wash my hands. I used to hate shaking hands. Now, once you run for office, you better like shaking hands or you got a problem. You ever see a politician? No, I don't want to shake hands. Can you do that? I don't think you wouldn't be a politician very long. I actually thought that with COVID, that would be the end because, they didn't want you to shake. I said, well, but then it came back a little bit slowly, then eventually. But when you're a politician, you have to shake hands. So I like washing my hands. And you'd go into the sink, new places generally. And you turn on the water and there's literally no water. And how about the places that think they're going to save a fortune, so they spend a lot of money, where the water turns off there. You press the thing, which you hate to do, your hands, you don't like to press. So you get the towel, you press it, you wash it, and the water stops. So they have both a restrictor and a stopper. You get like 4 drops of water. Tell me, do we really get rich with that? Okay, do we really? This is so ridiculous. So I undid all of that nonsense. But we did much more important for you. We've rescinded the insane Biden energy regulations on ovens, cooktops, microwaves, and ice makers that were driving your costs through the roof. You have no longer restrictions in that. I hope you understand. But I did better than that, too. In terms of slashing, we slashed more than $1 trillion worth of regulations, burdens on the U.S. economy, in particular on businesses and people that employ people. Combining our regulatory and tax cuts, we've reduced the effective burden on franchisees by more than 37%. You're so freaking lucky. You are so lucky. These guys are so loaded, they probably don't even know what I did for them. They make so much money, they say, yeah, it's peanuts, 37%. Let me tell you, you should have suffered a little while through Kamala. The good news is she had no clue. You just wonder, I want to give an IQ test to Kamala and Biden. Who do you think wins? But they were destroying your businesses. But I have better than that, though. As you know, in my first time, I also stopped a mortal threat to the franchise business model by terminating Obama's infamous joint employer rule. Joint employer. In other words, you were screwed. you would have been mortally wounded, perhaps. I said to a couple of the people, what would have happened if that? Sir, please, I'd rather not talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. I ended it. You got lucky on that one, let me tell you, because I said, really, I asked one of my guys, because when I was coming over, I saw that in the speech. I said, what does that mean? He said, that would have been death to businesses like yours and others. It was just, these people don't care. They didn't care. But I ended it, and I think that's one of the biggest things that you'll ever have done for yourselves. I think that's the biggest thing that can ever be done for you. We mentioned all these different items, but that's the biggest by far for you. As long as I'm president, I'll always defend your right to run your own small business and do it well. And some of your small businesses have become very large business. One of the franchise owners here today is Carlos Matios Sr., who escaped communist Cuba when he was just 6 years old. In America, Carlos took jobs as newspaper delivery boy, a factory worker, and eventually became a New Jersey police officer. Then, in 1998, Carlos switched careers and moved to Virginia, where he took over his first McDonald's. Where's Carlos? Is he around here? Let me see. Come on, stand up. Stand up, and your son too. Stand up, your son. Good looking son. I met him backstage. He had a knack for turning around poorly performing restaurants, and today his family owns nearly 60 McDonald's all along the East Coast, including at the Pentagon, where I've ordered numerous Big Macs.
Good Lord.
In fact, he served when the great football team came in. They served McDonald's, and you'd have these guys walking out, the biggest human beings I've ever seen. They were the national champs, right? Remember the team? Who was the team? Remember the team? He said Clemson, that's right. And these guys, I don't know, they were, like 6'6". What do you weigh? Sir, I weigh 392. I said, but you reported it much. I said, yeah, that's what they say. But and he'd have like 12, just each. And I thought he was bringing them back to the rest of the team. I said, that's nice, but maybe the team wants them. No, this is what I said, are you going to eat all of them? Yes, sir. He didn't even know what I was talking about. But you served it, and you did a great job. In 2019, when we hosted that great Clemson Tigers at the White House, I literally brought dozens of Quarter Pounders from McDonald's. We bought the whole thing. We bought the Quarter Pounder. We bought actually just about it. Well, he really had no choice because he just took everything he had in the whole restaurant. We got whatever the hell, probably whatever didn't sell, we got, right? But Carlos is here with Carlos Jr., his son, who started as a cashier and now runs dozens of the restaurants. Congratulations, fellas. What a great family. Congratulations. So in conclusion here tonight, carry on and really just keep going and inspiring that legacy and that pride that you have at really beyond almost all else. It was excellence in service, stretching back more than 7 decades to when 2 hardworking brothers with a hamburger stand in California partnered with a hard-driving entrepreneur from Illinois to revolutionize the restaurant business forever, like nobody had ever seen. Because of men and women like those in this room who have pride in your souls, love in your hearts, and ketchup in your veins. Did you ever hear that one? 70 years later, McDonald's is the #1 fast food restaurant in the entire world, and honestly, it's not even close. What a job you've done. And it still is really growing stronger with 900 new restaurants planned in the United States in the next 2 years alone. And I think with the great, big, beautiful bill, you might even double that number. I can imagine you'll double that number. But it's amazing to watch you grow. You know, the big ones, they get a little slow, they get a little fat, they get a little sloppy. This is a company that's gone just the opposite. You've gotten more and more competitive. I look at your numbers. You've gotten more and more competitive over the years, over the generations. Your spirit, generosity, and devotion to your communities has really made McDonald's a symbol of American values, aspiration, and success that's recognized all over the world. You are recognized all over the world, something that, and there's a lot of great, I mean, compared to the total, not so many, but there's a lot of great leaders, great companies. But I think more than anybody, McDonald's is recognized all over the world. And as widely as, frankly, the stars and stripes themselves. And everywhere there's a McDonald's, we see stars and stripes. Everywhere the American flag flies, you'll find the golden arches, and there you'll find good people doing honest, beautiful, hard work, and happy families sitting down to a really great meal. Because no matter who you are, everyone loves something at McDonald's. There's always something to have. I like the fish. I like it. You could do a little bit more tartar sauce, though, please. Seriously. I hate when I say, do you have any tartar sauce? Do you understand that? Yes, he understands that. Together with hardworking Americans like you, we're going to pioneer new heights, new prosperity. We are doing better as a country right now. And people are seeing it. The Wall Street guys know it. The stock market hit its all-time high 48 times in a row in 9 months, 48 times during the 9-month period. And we're hitting the highest stock market we've ever had in history. All markets, all three, all markets, every one of them has hit all brand new highs. It's a good time to be making this speech, because when you make one of these speeches, if you're doing lousy, it's not good. And you know, the stock market, you can say what you want, but it's a hell of an indicator. It's really a hell of an indicator. Your stock is doing phenomenally. But the stock market has hit an all-time high 48 times during the last 9 months. So we're going to pioneer new heights even from that. These new heights of prosperity are going to be incredible. We're looking at affordability. We're going to bring it down for everybody, because not everybody understands the fact that a great stock market is great for everybody, including 401ks. You know, the 401ks hit the highest number that they've ever been 2 days ago. And that's a lot of people. So they understand what's going on. We're going to make the American dream two words that you didn't have. You didn't have those 2 words. Remember when Biden said, it's all about 3 words, the American dream. You don't want to ever get in that situation. Remember that? That was not good. It's all about 3 words, American dream. But possible, and you're going to make it really possible for millions and millions of people. And you have an administration that's got your back. You don't have an administration that wants to put you out of business, that wants to take away your water, that wants to have you not use a microwave oven, that wants to do all these horrible things that are going to destroy you. They were looking to destroy you and other businesses too. So together we're going to make America richer, stronger, prouder, and happier than ever before. And you people can be very, very proud of the job you've done. You're respected all over the world. And it's an honor to be with McDonald's. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
There you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to say real quick, I love McDonald's. I think McDonald's is so good. If I didn't care about my weight or my health or my wallet or my checking account, I would probably have McDonald's every single day. I love it. Now I don't, I can't, you shouldn't do that. So I only have McDonald's maybe once a month. My wife, she calls it slop. She says, we're not having that slop. I said, come on, just once. She says, no, we're not. In fact, she actually calls it something else slop. It's a certain type of slop. I guess I'm not going to say that. She says, no, we're not having any of that glop. But anyway, man, I got to tell you, I love McDonald's. Now, you folks might have noticed that the Trump administration for the last 3, 4, 5 days, they have really been hammering home economic issue. We are less than a year away from midterms. And the number one concern, the number one critique really domestically in this country right now is that Trump is not focusing enough on the economy. Things are not cheap enough. Things are expensive. It's tough for a lot of Americans. And by the way, it's not tough because of anything Trump has done. In fact, like we said earlier, Trump is genuinely chipping away at the damage, at undoing the damage that Joe Biden and the Democrats caused when they were recently in the White House. So we're making positive steps. So the critique is that not enough steps have been taken, if that's the critique. And so right now, I think the Trump administration, properly so, they have heard that critique. And you might notice every single day they're coming out here, whether it be on Fox News or Trump himself or JD Vance, whatever, it's economy. what I'm reading, what I'm seeing is that for the next, 9, 10, 11 months going into midterms, less than a year, they are going to be waging war on Joe Biden's terrible economy, trying to undo the damage. It's an all-out war to undo the damage that Joe Biden and the Democrats caused to this economy. They are blitzing it, so to speak. It's all in now. Trump is going to be not so much talking about foreign issues, what's going on in the Middle East, Latin America. It's going to be economy. It's going to be, we got to win midterms. And the way to win midterms is make sure Americans have a reasonably affordable lifestyle. And so, by the way, I do want to say real quick, earlier today, I made a really good video talking about the economy, some economic stuff going on. Go watch the video I uploaded earlier today. It's really, really good. It breaks down everything going on right now. Also today, I made normally my videos are 8 or 9 minutes long. I'm trying something a little bit strange. Today was kind of an experiment. Today's video is almost 14. It's 13, 14 minutes long. I said, what would happen if I made the videos a little bit longer? So I'm looking for some feedback. Let me know, drop a comment, send me a message. Hey, I like the longer video. Hey, I don't like the longer video. Normally they're 8 or 9. Today was 13, 14. So little bit of an experimental video today. Now, beyond that, I've got some super chats here that I want to pull up. First up, I want to say thank you, Kevin Spears. He says, Trump is the best president since Washington. Says, I voted for this. Get the economy back on track. Thank you, Kevin Spears. I see that super chat. Thank you very much. Okay, I was talking to Isaac. Isaac, again, thank you very much. That's what kind of kicked off that big monologue earlier. Thank you again, Isaac. I appreciate that. I see another one here from Macavella. He says, I don't know about the Indian ones, but the Chinese ones are from Taiwan to train people to run the chip fans they are building. This is the idea. Whether or not you agree with it, the idea is that as we are bringing software chip manufacturing facilities back to the U.S., this is a very highly technical manufacturing process. And that for a year temporarily, this is what we're hearing from the Trump administration, is that for a year or two, we are going to need highly skilled Taiwanese laborers to come in the country and teach Americans how to make the chips and operate the facilities. And then after a year or two, we extract all the intelligence from them and we send them back to Taiwan. That is the Trump. That's the rhetoric coming from the Trump administration right now to sort of defend this temporary H-1B dynamic. That's what we're hearing from Trump, at least. Now, we have a super chat from Stu. He says, listening to this in my car like a podcast. Well, hey, I hope you have a safe drive. Don't get any car accidents. Watch out for Indian truck drivers. Did you see yesterday, there was, guess what? There was another Indian truck driver who's in the country driving around. It was actually this time in Washington State on the I-5 corridor. And this guy, I couldn't make sense of. He was driving. It was a straightaway on the freeway. And the truck gets flipped. In fact, I got to show you the picture. I got a photo here. Who's teaching these guys how to drive? Right? What in the hell is going on out here? Can I show you this? Look at this thing. This happened the other day. And his name is Mahakdeep Singh on the I-5 corridor, Washington State. Mahakdeep Singh. It's like every other day. It's like, oh, another one. Oh, wow, another one. Oh, another one. Another day, another Indian trucking accident. This is a straightaway. Dude, you're going straight. There's not even a turn. There wasn't even anybody else because, you didn't have any other cars crash into him. So the road, this is not a super busy strip of freeway either. I've driven up and down this spot a million times, actually, to be honest with you. And dude, what are you doing? What are you playing? Mobile games on your cell phone? You playing Candy Crush? You're playing Bubble Witch on your cell phone while you're driving an 80,000 pound truck? What's going on here, Mahakdeep? So, hey, anyway, have a safe drive. These days, dude, listen, hey, I hate to say it, man. If I'm driving around, I'm like, oh, there's a truck over there. Who's driving that thing? There's a truck over there. Who in the hell is driving that thing? So, Man, I don't know these days. I don't know who the hell is giving these guys CDLs. Well, no, we do. It's Gavin Newsom. No, it's Gavin Newsom. We actually do know. This is Wojo. He says, fun fact, hens lay more eggs after watching a chick flick. Hens lay more eggs if maybe it gets their female chicken hormones. It gets them hormonally activated. I don't know. I'm not a chicken psychologist. I don't know. I was going to become a chicken psychologist. I dropped out of school to become a political commentator. No, I'm kidding. That was my original career choice. There was no money in it though, so I had to do something else. Thank you, Wojo. We have this one from Polly Puree. Says, I was born in 1957. I remember when McDonald's opened up their first restaurant in the eastern half of the U.S., Orange, Connecticut, 15 cents for a burger, early 1960s. It's still here in Orange. That's awesome. Like, man, I love McDonald's. Can I tell you something here? I've been blessed. I've been fortunate in my life. I don't know. I've been to probably 15 different countries. I've done a little bit of traveling. And every time I'm in a foreign country, I make a point, I go to McDonald's. I always go to, if I'm in South Korea, I'm in Japan. If I'm in Germany, I'm in Italy, whatever. It doesn't matter where. I was in Kazakhstan, McDonald's. I always go to the McDonald's. And I'll tell you why. First off, I want to see what's different. I want to see if they do anything different there. All of them, and they do stuff kind of differently. But there's something, this is going to sound so funny. It's going to sound weird. When I step into a McDonald's in a foreign country, I feel like I'm stepping into the American embassy. I feel like I'm back on home turf. I feel like I walk in there and it's like, yeah, this is American turf, baby. I'm like, yeah, I'm an American. I'm in a McDonald's. Even if I'm in Japan, I run this place. Everybody listen, an American has arrived. I am calling the shots here because I am the American in the McDonald's. That's like, it's like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It is uniquely American. It's awesome. I love McDonald's. I love McDonald's. God bless McDonald's. I love McDonald's. I love it. No, you can't eat it every day. You shouldn't eat it every day. It's one of those things, but in fact, I'll tell you kind of another little tangential. It's kind of a funny, but kind of a depressing story. My grandfather, he was 86 years old. He passed away just about 2 years ago exactly. So rest in peace. I loved him very much. And his wife, my grandfather, died in the late 1980s. My grandmother died in the late 1980s. She had a brain tumor and she died. So I never met her. Okay. And she was a stay-at-home wife. She cooked all the meals for him. And then after she passed away, my grandfather, he was always strong and physically fit. He was a cowboy type of guy. He was working on a cattle ranch and stuff. But when his wife died, he started eating microwave food and McDonald's. He never cooked a meal for himself ever, really, for like 35 or 40 years, to be honest. And he lived, and he was not fat anyway, but he loved that type of food. Now, he gets to be 86 and he gets stomach cancer. He's got tumors in his stomach and he passes away. That's the way that it goes. You live and you die. Now, one of the final things he said before he passed away, he said, if I hadn't eaten so much of that slop, I probably could have lived a couple more years. It's like, well, yeah, maybe. Well, maybe. But, he got away with eating microwave fast food slop every single day for 40 years after his wife died. He made it to 86. That's a long life. That's a good life. And, he ate the food that he loved, and he wasn't fat either. He was always fit. So, everybody's got to die, I guess, someday. That's the way it goes. But anyway, you probably shouldn't eat it every day. That's my point. And then we have one more big super chat here from Scuba Diva. She says, can I share our Give, Send, Go? We're going to be homeless in days. Hubby is a combat Marine begging for help and prayers. I'm trying to think of a way. If you send me a private message on Twitter with a link, the next time I go live, I will post that out in the live chat. Probably not today, but send me a message on Twitter. And then next time I'll try to remember to put that in the chat. Listen, you shouldn't be super chatting $10. You got to keep that for yourself. Worry about yourself. But maybe, hey, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Everybody, thoughts and prayers there. Thank you. Thank you very much, and good luck with the situation. Good luck with that. We had one more final super chat. This is Roba says, I don't have a long attention span. Shorter videos would appeal to people like me that max out at 6 minutes. Love you, Matt. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got something else. I'm trying to kind of cover all the bases and do something for everybody. That's my goal. I'll tell you what right now, every single day, you're not going to believe this. Every single day I spend somewhere between 11 and 14 hours every single day producing and making all the content, putting together the live broadcasts and the videos. I've got to write all the scripts and do the research. Look at a video like the one that I made today. It's a huge amount of research. It's like hours of researching and finding the clips, and I write it word for word. Word for word, I write it out. So I work, if you can call it that. It's not like I'm laying shingles or anything, but it is. I'm sitting here at my desk 11 to 14 hours a day. So my problem is I wish I could do more. I wish I could make more, but I am capped. I'm capped on time. After 14 hours, my brain is mush and I gotta give it a rest. I can only do so much. But hey, thank you very much. That is going to be a wrap up for today's show. I want to say thank you all very, very much on Rumble. Make sure to follow on Rumble, subscribe on Rumble, and on YouTube, like and subscribe. Hit the like button. You better hit that like button right now. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's going to be a wrap for the show. Everybody stay safe. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to have more stuff for you guys tomorrow, covering the news, breaking it all down. Until then, everybody stay safe and take care of yourselves. And until then, have a good one. So I'll see you folks tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Thank you.